Hello, everybody. It's great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO, President, Founder of GSD, Get You Done Venture Studios, premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. I was on the original management team of Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion. Also, Eva.ai. We believe at GSD that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world, but opportunities are not. So today on Simple Night Presents, I have my incredible guest and good friend, Sanjay Bhatia. Today we're going to be talking about curating travel experiences. Sanjay is a serial entrepreneur. He's also been involved in a number of exits, and he is the president and CEO of Runday.ai. With that, I'd like to bring my friend on board.
Hey
Hi,
Gary,
Sanjay.
happy Friday. How are you?
Good. So, you've had quite a journey from Radiant Systems and Microsoft to founding Zenda and Runday.ai. Can you share a bit about your background, what's driven your passion and innovation?
Yeah, I've always done AI analytics, and it's always about like how do we leverage technology to make the world better. Just really, a lot of it's just been problems that I've experienced in my life or in the lives of people I know and care about, and that's evolved into technologies, and then that evolves into solutions, and it evolves into platforms, and it becomes amazing companies.
So, the title of the show today, the conversation is Choice to Curation. What does this mean in the context of travel? And how do you think the travel experiences, you travel a lot, you do a lot of things, events, but how do you think that's going to change over the next 5 years? What's going to happen that's different today? And how are these things going to be intertwined together?
Yeah, it's funny, even after decades of innovation and competition, just the simple act of, you know, doing handling flights is still really hard. It's like just, I mean, yeah, I'm flying to Atlanta tonight, and it's just checking in, and just the fact that I have to go to my, calendar and like find a little 5-digit code and copy and paste it into my app before it'll show me. There's such a degree of personalization that's just missing. And it's a little shocking if you think about it that there's hundreds and hundreds of companies that are in the travel space, at least in terms of logistics and booking and everything, and none of them have done a good job yet. The promises of the early internet, I mean, it's come to fruition with Amazon. It's come to fruition with ordering. I was working on the first pizza ordering systems, and then I was at an event, the other day, and they were talking to a franchise from San Antonio to do pizza. And, a lot of ways that those types of apps have done really well. You can order a pizza, you can order an Uber, you can order from Amazon. These things know you, and based on knowing you, they don't have to ask you questions. They don't have to ask your credit card again, all kinds of stuff. But in travel, we're not there for some reason, right? And so I think part of
Yeah,
it
you're
is like,
right about it with the pizza and everything. An Uber knows you, knows what you're doing, but we haven't done it. And it holds us a whole lot more money to be made in travel than pizzas, right? It's unbelievable.
yeah. So I think we're going, there's opportunity to leapfrog because the travel industry hasn't sort of like gotten to that same level of execution now. Because what's happened with pizza? Well, people aren't going to want to download an app to order their pizza anymore. They're not going to want to make a phone call. They're not going to want to do that. All they got to do is text a phone number or message a brand. I think Papa John's is experimenting with this idea of like you just DM Papa John's, tell them what you want, and the pizza shows up. So that's really the
And you're making me
the near
hungry. I haven't had
future.
a pizza for a long time. Yeah, those is pizza talk. Making me hungry. A little pepperoni.
I got one in the fridge. I'm trying not to eat dairy. I was trying to get so this house. So I really just wanted to feed my dog. So I just want some sausage and eggs you can have. And so they didn't have that on the menu. I'm like, look, just give me anything that has sausage and eggs. I just don't want. And it had
Where
feta
are
cheese.
you right now, by the way?
I'm on Fort Lauderdale Beach.
Ah, okay. Wow, that's amazing. And so you got the pizza for your dog?
Well, I didn't get a pizza for my dog. I just wanted eggs and sausage for my dog. But the only thing on the menu was a flatbread. So I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. Give me that. I'm in a hurry. I just need anything with sausage and eggs. I don't care what it costs. I just got to go. And the guy puts mozzarella on it. When I right, you think like I said, no feta cheese, and so that means no cheese at all. But people just aren't at. So it's just sort of the question of would I rather work with an AI or would they rather work with a human? Well, you're not dealing with a human with 70 years of experience that cares about their job anymore. You're dealing with someone that, is in a role that may have 400% turnover. So there's going to be a preference for AI. So the AI would have reasoned, I would think that, hey, if he asked for no feta cheese, he probably doesn't want mozzarella cheese either, or I should ask that question before just doing it. So I'm going to have to order another meal for my dog now because I just ran out of cans, but or it's too late to order it last night. But that's sort of the reality, right? So whether it's decades later, it's like ordering pizza sort of mostly works, but they still need to evolve to having a relationship with you. But that's happening, right? That's already being implemented. Travel needs to, I think, get more aggressive about like this being at this next level of innovation where booking your flight is something that someone with a personal assistant, who actually has done a good job of it, some of the credit card programs where you have a concierge service. So Amex, I mean, it's a very expensive annual fee, but they do a good job of booking your flights for you. That needs to become an AI feature, whether it's through your credit card or through the brand. I mean, I would think the brands would want to do it too, or through these brokers like Kayak or Google Flights, like kind of do that for you. Like Gemini could be having access to your information enough that they can book the flight. That's a use case I could see is very interesting.
Yeah, you're right about it. It's we haven't done a good job with travel. We have, you can't even when you get on, when you get on Delta, it doesn't even come up and say, "Listen, I know you like first class on the right hand side of the plane." It doesn't even suggest anything to you. Or the flight. Why doesn't it suggest like the flights that have the seats available? And so what's
Yeah, it's just data, right? It's
crazy,
just data.
right?
Like, look through a bigger data set and make a better recommendation.
Yeah, it's insane. So, how do you think AI has really started shaping travel experiences? What has it done so far, and what do you think it's going to do? Look at things
Well,
like
it's doing really well on the planning side. So that the kind of there's a psychological phenomenon where people actually achieve more happiness planning their vacation than actually taking it. Once you get there, maybe you get seasick on the boat, like things happen. It averages out to not as good as what the excitement about it, right? So especially with Americans, most people typically get one trip a year, and so they put a lot of anticipation into it. And so that process, I think, some of the newer AIs like Super Grok, Perplexity, when it's based on an event or a conference, I've had a tremendous luck with Perplexity, doing things like, well, I'm trying to juggle the conference and these side events and people I want to network with, and so it's been really good at
and what do you
finding.
use? What do you use it for? So, give us an example of what people can do with it today.
Well, you can just describe the event and it'll go find the agenda on its own and understand, like, like say someone I know is speaking and say, hey, I'm going to the event. I got to juggle these three contacts. And I also want to make sure I see this. It just kind of handles that part of it. You don't have to go find the PDF and upload it anymore. You just say, hey, I'm going to the Opal event, and it understands what that means. Based on the context of the dates and the city and everything, and it's able to figure out like what you mean and very accurately give you, read the agenda and help you work with it. So things like that, I've done. And then a lot of people are doing like planning, like if they're going to Egypt or they're going to Paris, whatever it is. What are the things based on say Super Grok knowing me and having some history, knowing what I like and ask about. If I'm asking about pizza, maybe I want pizza in Paris or something, right? And so that's starting to work really well.
So, the personalization is a buzzword in travel. How does AI actually deliver on that? What do you think? Where are we in terms of personalization with AI? In terms of looking at this massive amount of data, and it doesn't really go down through, like you said, you got one thing on a trip, but it doesn't really look through your past trips that much, right? To determine your behavior. But where are we with it now with personalization, and how far is it going to go?
Where we are now, it's starting to understand the context of who you are. Like the Grok understands I'm a busy startup founder, and so I'm going to optimize for things that don't take a whole lot of time. Anything I need to do, so it's starting to understand, like, okay, maybe you're a parent, or maybe you travel with a dog, or you're a startup founder. Like those contexts are actually very powerful, because it's guiding the initial data set very well at the very start of the process. So then you narrow down solutions or options based on that. You're not dealing with this overwhelming, number of options at the beginning of the process. So that's working well. And then the data feeds like flight availability, things like that are starting to become available. I mean, events are, any events that you're going to like locally, like Luma, meetup.com, those data sets are exposed to the AIs now. And I've had some really good luck with that. So it's just sort of, you don't have to go dig through email and text and PDFs and all this stuff as much anymore as you used to, even a month or two ago.
So how do you think we go on one side, we want to be personal, we want personalization, but the other thing is we want privacy. How do you balance between personalization and protecting your data? How do we do that? And these things like Grok, don't they have all your personal information in? So if you're putting in files or you're putting in reports that are confidential, doesn't that become part of their data set then?
Yeah, in general, I hate to say it, but in general, like we've already, there's hundreds of apps that are tracking your location, right? And so, like, even if a few of them stop doing it, and we reduce or we cut it in half. If you go from 700 apps tracking you to 300, is that really are you private? No, I don't think so. And so I think it's going to be like, we have browsers. The browser is a private window. There's different technologies like Tor that protect your browsing. So when you're in a context when you want privacy, you're going to have to go that route. Like, you're going to have to go to a privacy oriented AI. But the general ones are really the way things are going. Not, it's a sort of, do you trust Microsoft more? Do you trust Meta more? Do you trust, Elon and Grok more? It's, you make that choice. But if you really want to protect something, I don't think you should be using any of the major mainstream AIs. That you need to go to a specific one through a Tor browser to do that.
What do you think are some of the biggest pain points in travel today that AI can solve? So, I think like logistical complexity, just like you said, using the tools. But what do you think? What are three of the things that you think that AI can really help us with today?
So one is just the difference between the boarding time, just a lot of little things, right? Like, there's a boarding time, there's the flight leaving time, there's sort of like how busy is the airport that day, how busy is traffic ticket. I mean, these are all known variables. These are all predictable things that are, I mean, sometimes there's an exception, right? Like a freak storm, but for the most part, this data is all available. The AI should just book your Uber, but giving you sufficient time, and you just have it on your calendar.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, right? If you're taking a trip,
Yeah.
well, I wanted to automatically book your Uber, having it come in and then have it pick you up when you come back, right? That's a good idea, actually. Track your flight real time, so as it's going, it knows exactly when you come down, and it has an Uber waiting. That's a great idea, actually.
Yeah. Why do I have to? And also, if you pre-book, you save some money sometimes. Like, if you don't need it fast, like if I need time to walk from the plane over to the pickup area, and the drivers have more time, save me some money, give them more heads up. These things are very basic that can be done. And so, we're going to see AI concierges that are potentially specialized. And also, we're going to see, your mainstream AI start to incorporate plugins that allow these things. But yeah, it's like, why do I have to think about any of this anymore when it's so basic? Everyone needs to have an executive assistant through the AI models. It's starting to happen really in the past couple of months. You're seeing these use cases actually working. And then it's a question of like, what are the business models around it?
How do you think AI is going to impact the business side of the travel for the airlines, the hotels, and platform? What are the good things that it's going to do to be able to help them to be able to make more money?
Well, you have the extremes of the spectrum, and people that are more interested in a better experience and don't care what it costs. And then the other side, they just want to optimize for price. So it'll let people be where they want to be on that spectrum, and giving them, that kind of focus. Right now, it's a mishmash of, a bunch of different needs and wants and things. Sometimes you just want to get somewhere, it's just you're there for a half day meeting. You just want to get in, get out. Maybe you don't want the red eye. Maybe you're willing to do it. So sometimes it's very about efficiency. Other times it's about, you're having a vacation, you're taking your time. You want to you know, see as many of the interesting things. So like integrating the hot spots, the restaurants, venues, things to do with
I mean,
your
it could
travel
be like the
schedule. Yeah.
restaurants, right? You were talking about Papa John's. Wouldn't it be interesting if it could go down through and predict which Papa John's doesn't have the business, and this is the way you can get there faster for the business side of it, right? And then optimize the staffing levels, predict when there's going to be demand spikes so it can, a hotel, they have these different rates. Imagine that. And then for you as a customer, it puts you in a hotel, it's got the right kind of price, right? In your price range. It already knows it. But
It's
it's
gonna be about what goes viral. So at the end of the day, whatever, there's a lot of features right now, people are experimenting with things. What is going to work so well that you tell your friends about it, right? Whoever achieves that is going to, start building these new business models. And so it's like, oh wow, I just used this thing and it just books my Uber for my flight. So I don't have to think about it. Right. It just predicts everything and it sticks it on my calendar. So I just look at my calendar and then I get an alert. I'm like, okay, I gotta leave, car's on its way. I gotta
and
meet
then
it
it goes down
downstairs.
through and it says, it looks at you, and then it says, listen, here's a hotel. It books it with a couples massage.
Yeah, there you go.
So, do you think AI replaced human travel agents? I know you do a lot of this stuff at Run Day. In fact, tell us a little bit about Run Day, the kind of things you're working on today, and then let's talk about how where AI is in terms of this experience and where do humans fit into the equation.
Yeah, in Render, we have a no-code platform that really unites human and AIs to help businesses grow. And so we do a kind of a double human in the loop strategy. So we think of AI not as a co-pilot or superhuman, but instead as like a team of interns that never sleeps and never quits. So if you had a bunch of interns, you'd look over their shoulder, you take over sometimes for them. So we allow that. So both our team and it's on full autopilot, but our team as well as the customer's team have a chance through alerts to jump in, alter a response, take over a conversation whenever they have time. And people don't have a lot of time these days, but just the ability to do that, when that option makes people a lot more comfortable, especially at the start of the project, right? At first, you're like, I'm not sure you trust it yet. You kind of just like an intern, you don't trust your intern at first. You kind of like look over their shoulder, you want to check their work a little bit, and then gradually you start letting go. And so we see it working that way. But I think we're also seeing, and my belief and our belief is that AI really is a tool for growth. There's this idea that it's going to like reduce jobs. Whoever's thinking that is just playing the wrong game, because you're not the only one with AI. So if you cut jobs and so does everyone in your industry, well, nobody. It's just a race to the bottom. It's really more about, okay, how do you leverage AI to grow your business so you're hiring more and more people and taking over market share, becoming a market leader. It's all about market leadership. Cost cutting is not rewarded. Wall Street doesn't reward it. Private equity doesn't reward it. Being a little more profitable, just there's no bonus for that, right? So growth is richly rewarded. So in leadership is richly rewarded. So we got to start thinking about AI as a leadership tool rather than a potential cost cutting measure, because it just doesn't. It's just not that.
So, what do you think about? Do you, we mentioned it a little bit. What do you think about this shift towards AI concierges? You talked about like a team of interns, but these agents that understand you. How fast do you think that's going to happen? That we start using AI concierges for everything, Sanjay,
Oh,
not
it's
just
it's
travel.
it's already it's already exploding. There's ones with avatars. There's ones that are focused on certain verticals. A lot of support is being quickly concierge oriented. Just having the ability to book appointments. It's exploding very rapidly. You've seen the smaller companies, like small businesses, embracing it first, and then all of the larger chains and franchises are looking at it very seriously. How long will it take to implement? They move slower because they have hundreds or thousands of sites. But it's also really, it's because of turnover. Like no one can keep staff anymore. So they don't think about it as, oh, we should do AI because it's exciting, or and I hate to say it, but people don't like, because everyone's customer service is terrible. People just don't care about it as much. I mean, just, last night I was at an amazing restaurant and we were done with our meal. It just took forever to pay our bill, just waiting for the waitress, right? Like that's just the reality. There's not a young workforce that can do a lot of these entry level jobs anymore in 150 countries. So you're going to, so, what if I just text the restaurant and say I'm ready to pay, and they give me a link and I click my Apple Pay, right? That's going to have to happen, not because it's innovative or exciting or we love it as tech geeks, but because there's just not enough waitresses. There's just not enough front desk staff. They just don't exist. And you can't outsource to places like India anymore because their local economies are so strong that they're not willing to stay up late and do the night shift anymore either. So AI is the kind of the only path. And so the bigger companies are embracing it a little bit slower, but you're going to see it everywhere.
Let's look ahead 10 years from now. How different do you think our travel experiences will be uh, than they are today? And how will that feel?
I think 10 years from now, you're almost going to have your like AI be like almost like a member of the family. The form factors. I think I'm very
I hope
bullish.
it's not like that Megan, the robot thing. I was watching that movie. That's
No, I
pretty.
don't think they'll be. I don't think they'll be physically embodied. I think this
Mhm.
idea of robotics is a little bit
Will
misguided. I
we
mean,
have? But will we have the AI in those robots so that there's
I
like?
don't think so. I think it'll be in your glasses.
Mhm.
So be in your glasses will be, it'll be like you have one for your family. Everyone will access kind of a shared experience, and you'll look at something, and maybe it's translating for you as basic use cases. So you can do things like take an Italian menu and show it in English, or just it doesn't even have to show it to you. Just it knows what you like, and it can just make some recommendations based on who you are. So you'll use your glasses as, or it might be a smartwatch, but it'll be a more voice oriented, smaller form factor with some kind of camera on it that sees your context, and it's going to, be an experienced travel guide. And, I don't think it's going to be an embodied robot or, things like that. That's probably more for, I mean, we'll see that in industrial applications or, scaling. But in terms of a personal robotics, I'm not bullish on that, but I think the idea of having smart glasses or something like that, that's maybe it'll be like just an amulet or something, right? If you don't need glasses, then it can see what you're seeing, it can talk to you, and there'll be some screen availability, but it's mostly going to be in a conversational experience.
And what do you think? What about these the new Meta glasses? When are they coming out? And are you going to get a pair of them?
They're talking about it. I don't know if they'll be there for this holiday season or not. I'm reviewing the Celeste models that have a minimal screen, but a lot of people are buying these screenless ones, and they're selling really well. They're selling out, and you're seeing people are very comfortable with this form factor, especially people that already have glasses, right? Like they're most excited about because they already have glasses, and so they're like, okay, it's not an extra thing. I just have more capabilities in my glasses now. And so we'll see what other form factors emerge. But I think that the idea is that it's context aware. It sees what you see. It can help you. It knows you. 10 years ago, you'll think of it as a companion, but it won't be a robot. It'll just be kind of ethereal and in your devices.
Somebody just asked a question. So we're trying to understand where to source data for an OTA AI to make sure it's accurate. Are you allowing AI to search the internet, or are you providing it static data?
In terms of run day, we typically provided data. It's not static, but it's data for the brand. And so the brand's knowledge base, their things like email history, sales collateral. We have integrations with OpenAI and other things, so you can have it go on the internet. But that we use more for, we're really looking more at like things like LinkedIn, right, or people's social profiles to like how to hyper personalize the messaging. It's more about that individual. It's not about going on the internet and finding things necessarily. It's all about the brand and the customer and that sort of intersection in between that creates connection.
You've invested in multiple data-driven ventures. How do you evaluate whether an AI company has real potential? What do you look for?
I think does it solve a problem that somebody actually has? A lot of things are, science projects or experiments are kind of cool. We get excited about them, but when you put a landing page up and you throw some people at ads on it, does anyone actually engage with it? Right. So, and also it's sort of like, as engineers, we think about like efficiency and profitability and things like that is highly important, and acceleration. And businesses want to be leaders, right? So it's business is war. And so making war a little more efficient, or even a lot more efficient, isn't necessarily on the priority list. I've learned this lesson, multiple times, multiple businesses. You start out by solving a problem, making things more efficient, and people, they'll talk to you, they'll do some PR, they'll do some kind of minor investments. But when you show that you can grow their business and help them achieve leadership, that's when the price doesn't matter. They'll pay anything to make it happen, and be early to market on it.
If you had one piece of advice for companies listening today about embracing AI, what would that be?
I think actually measure what people are wanting to do. And so there's this tendency to want to just build. And I grew up in an era where, you build first, you had to, you had no choice kind of. And, we're moving toward a different type of economics where it's all about the offer, and that dynamic relationship of the offer and the consumer and the brand. So like branding and distribution is becoming a lot more important, because anyone can use AI to build things, right? You can write incredible code with Claude and some of these newer models. And so building is becoming more commoditized. It's much more about distribution, relationships, and branding. So don't build what you haven't sold yet. Like, it's almost like sell first, or test market your ideas, or a dozen ideas, right? You may have one, don't even do it in serial. So I would parallel test multiple ideas and then see what resonates, and then start building that.
We're coming up to the top of the show. Sanjay, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule for joining us. Closing thoughts, and how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, just get a hold of me at Sanjay@runday.ai. And yeah, we would love to work with anybody that wants to grow their business and really believe in this union of human and AI for growth.
Thanks. So thanks to all of you for joining one more time. Simple Nights Presents. My name is Gary Fowler, and I'm your host. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. And we will be back again soon with another exciting edition. Thanks. Have a great weekend and enjoy yourself. And for those in the U.S., have a nice Labor Day. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.